The HTC One has been a massive success, taking the fight to the likes of the Samsung Galaxy S4, the iPhone 5 and the Sony Xperia Z. One of its main boons is the stunning design, and Claude Zellweger is the man behind the aluminium unibody as HTC's principal designer. We catch up with him to find out about how he came up with the HTC One, HTC's future and the future of smartphones in general. So let's go chat to him.
We have design principles which are simple, crafted and human, and we wanted to do something that really hits upon all those three things. So for simplicity's sake, we had to do something that felt like it was made out of one piece. The other thing is the phone is obviously an extension of the user experience that's on screen. So creating something that's very simple in the front, not distracting yet sophisticated. So the second one, the crafted part, has to do with the way that things are put together, the details on it. You know, we want these devices to look like someone put them together by hand, even though we all know it's mass manufactured. And then the human aspect is what you see in terms of the shaping of it, the edges, the fact that it slips, it sort of conforms to the back of your hand perfectly. So this is how all these three elements come together. There are a couple of challenges. The number one challenge is working against or with the antennas technology. Radio technology and metal are not really friends usually, and so with our goal in mind to do the most metal on the phone ever, we had a lot of challenges, and we went through a lot of iterations and heated discussions with antenna engineers in order to achieve that. You'll see a lot of our competitors like to sort of go with a very flat form factor, which is easier. That's the sort of path of least resistance if you think about electronics. So for us to come out with something that is so sculpted in the back has been kind of difficult. On a component level, we didn't want to do any more camera bumps. You know, in the past it's been sort of this feature that for us designers it was featured too prominently. I mean, we wanted to have a big story around the camera, but we don't want to feel it when we put our hand on top. So fitting that new sensor into that layout was a big challenge. We believe we have a good thing here, but you can obviously not ever rest. You know, it's been very well received. So what we're doing as a design team is taking all the things that we think we've done well on this one and sort of making those baseline elements of the next design. So the aggressive surfacing, the all-metal unibody, and then sort of the relationship of the user interface to the design. Those are all elements you're going to see moving forward. We're going to be looking at all materials at any time because, you know, different materials have different advantages. But we don't have a plan to zigzag our design. You know, we'd rather be refining it constantly and then, of course, throwing in things that really surprise people. But you know, we want there to be. We believe there's a strong DNA that goes through all of our phone, and we really want to be the best phone craftsmen. There's sort of the standard things that I think we all get excited about is go thinner, go borderless on the screens, and the smaller footprint. So I think all of these sort of basic form factor elements are great. And then I think in terms of materials, we just look for these things that like, give it that more and more personal touch, more longevity, and you know, what does a phone look like after 2 years or a year and a half? We're in this dawn of the mega systems, everything's so interconnected, and so I think we see our role as being the ones that sort of pull together the best of some of these functions and applications and bubble them up to the top. We haven't reached a plateau, certainly not. I mean, there's a certain saturation in the high-end smartphone market, so I think the whole industry sort of realizes, okay, now we're going to be maybe more on a sort of turnover cycle. You're not going to impress with having a bigger phone anymore because you know, the whole gamut is already covered. So as well as resolution, you know, we're getting to a point where you can't really tell the difference anymore. Processor speed is becoming less critical now, so I think it becomes a lot about different things. And I think, for instance, just to give the example of the camera, I mean, this is a very, very important element, and we think we can keep innovating now. I mean, for many years the camera has been sort of a thing that you try to mimic point and shoots and try to be as good, and now we've just gone into a new phase where we can do things that you could never do with a camera before. We've heard a lot about sensors, things that are aware of your environment. And I certainly see the potential of that when it's done in the right way. The idea that your phone is just becoming incredibly aware and can anticipate your needs really well. So I think that's exciting, but it needs some time to sort of the technology to mature, and then the applications to be pulled together in the right way. In the long run, we'll see people using wearables a lot more. It only makes sense, and it sort of becomes a question of social acceptance, just like cell phones were in the beginning, where what behavior is okay. I mean, obviously, I think right now it's a bit abrupt to have people walking around with the Google Glass thing, although we're starting to see it in San Francisco quite a bit. But there's all these new behaviors around it, which are particularly jarring with glasses. I think with something worn on the wrist, for instance, it's a different case. It's already much easier to imagine that. We're going to see better glasses, yeah. So, I mean, as soon as we see that as designers, we think, oh, what could we do with it, just visually. And I mean, the question is really, do you have to have the full virtual reality experience? Could it be more camera-centric? And how do you control it? I think just sort of tapping on the glasses doesn't make any sense.